GTA, or Grand Theft Auto, is a game that has been around long enough that if you played the first version, your kids will probably be playing the sixth, and a series that is so popular that their fanbase has waited over a decade for the next game. A game that has created memories for nearly all their players, but where did their history begin? And what has finally led us to GTA 6? The start of the GTA franchise began in April 1995 when DMA Design, a small game development company from Scotland, began the development of Race and Chase, or as we know it, Grand Theft Auto, a third-person game which allowed you to free roam, run from cops, and run over pedestrians. And much like the later games, how you played and the outcomes of it were very much in your control. This GTA consisted of 3 cities with different missions in each. And much like the games we are familiar with now, you could also paint your cars and play a version of multiplayer. Surprisingly, the development of the first GTA took inspiration from games like Elite and Pac-Man. By November 1997, the game would be released for MS-DOT and Microsoft Windows, and 1 month later for PlayStation. 2 years later, in 1999, it would be released for the Game Boy Color. The game itself would include 2 expansion packs, London 1969 and London 1961. Although the game received contrasting views upon release, it was notably a great seller, and would permit the developers to begin development of the second in the series, GTA 2. The second game in the series was set in Anywhere City and was similar in the means of being played top-down and an action-based game that allowed you to take on the role of a criminal in a free-roam open world. GTA 2 was developed by DMA Design and Tarantula Studios and was released on October 22, 1999 for PC and PlayStation, and a year later for the Dreamcast and Game Boy Color. The game itself was broken down into 3 zones, each with different bosses, who sent the player missions through payphones, and in a similar fashion to older games, the only way to save the game was by finding a specific location, in this case, Jesus Saves Church, and having the player pay a $50,000 fee. This was also the first game of the series that included side missions. GTA 2 also received mixed reviews and less praise, but was enough for the developers to begin the third of the series. The third game, GTA 3, was a game that included both improved technology and developers that really wanted to prove themselves. Developed by DMA Design, soon to be Rockstar North, and Rockstar, GTA 3 marked a turning point in the series, and was the game that really began to put Rockstar on the map. GTA 3 was set in Liberty City and followed the recurring theme of gameplay, but was the first of the series to be modeled completely in 3D. The game was released in October of 2001 for PlayStation, 2002 for PC, and 2003 for Xbox, and was a universal hit, winning many Game of the Year awards and would go on to sell 14 million copies by 2008. The game's global success resulted in the developers going on a pretty large developing spree, when only 1 year later, Rockstar would release GTA Vice City on October 27, 2002 for PlayStation, and a year later for PC and Xbox. Set in Vice City, the game met fans' new expectations for a 3D, free-roam game, and was again a universal hit, selling over 500,000 copies upon launch and 17.5 million copies by 2008. At this point, both Rockstar and their fans knew the game was there to stay, and following Vice City's success, the next game of the series, GTA San Andreas, would begin production. GTA San Andreas, based on California and Nevada, released in October of 2004 for PlayStation and again a year later for PC and Xbox. The game continued to follow the defined expectations for what Grand Theft Auto really meant, allowing players complete control over how they played the game and therefore the outcomes of it. This was notably the game where players began to have a much larger choice for cars and other accessories, with the game containing 212 compared to GTA 3's 60. And once again, the game was a global success, receiving critical acclaim and was widely considered one of the best games of the year from multiple platforms. The game would go on to sell over 2 million copies within the first week of its release, generating over $235 million in revenue in the first week alone. October of 2004 also saw the release of GTA Advance for the Game Boy Advance, followed by GTA Liberty City Stories for PlayStation in 2006. The game received positive reviews, but was nowhere as large as their previous, which really caused Rockstar to lock in, allowing them to continue their development of the next in the series, GTA 4, and by 2008, the game would enter production, with a cost of over $100 million, making the game the most expensive ever produced at the time. Based on New York, GTA 4 followed the same scheme of an open-world action game, but with some major improvements in both quality and what the player could actually do. GTA 4 had some serious hype behind it, with players lining up before the stores were even open in order to get their hands on the game. The game was released for both PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 in April 2008, and was exactly what players wanted, with both a single player and multiplayer mode. GTA 4 would go on to sell over $500 million in revenue in the first week alone, received critical acclaim, and was widely considered the greatest game of the year, and for some, all time. GTA 4 ultimately sold over 25 million copies by 2013, with the game seeing 2 expansion packs following its release, both of which received positive reviews. During this time, Rockstar was still pursuing the handheld sector, releasing GTA Chinatown Wars in 2009 and 2010, and although less extensive than the console games, it also received positive reviews and critical acclaim, however only sold around 1.3 million copies by 2013. Which now leads us to the most recently released game of the series. Beginning development in 2008, Grand Theft Auto V had a development crew of over 1,000 people and an estimated cost of around $265 million to develop. The game allowed the player to play in both first and third person modes, which really allowed for the best of both worlds. GTA V was modeled after South Carolina and Los Angeles, and takes place in the fictional San Andreas, and retains the theme of a vast open world game, mixing the classic theme of the series with modern technology. Releasing on September 17, 2013, the game would go on to break many records, grossing over $1 billion within the first 3 days of launch, and upon its re-release for the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, alongside many major additions throughout the years, it allowed GTA 5 to become one of the best-selling games of all time, having sold over 190 million copies as of 2023. The game is well known and well loved, and is still boasting full servers 10 years after its initial launch. But 10 years after its launch, isn't there a new one people want to play? Nope. 10 years later, and we are still waiting for the 6th of the series. However, the same day this video will be released is the day that fans, who are probably now a little old to play the game, will be watching the trailer for GTA 6. But here's what we do know. The game began development most likely in early 2017, and will follow the classic theme of the rest of the series, and the game will more than likely take place in Vice City. However, these are essentially shots in the dark, as this video will be out before the trailer is released. GTA 6 has a budget of around $2 billion, really showing how large the franchise has become, and the nature of inflation. One thing that I have not mentioned, but is definitely worth it, is that the radio within the game that is much loved now, has been there for all 5, and probably 6 games of the series. GTA began as a project from a small development company from Scotland, and eventually New York, to now a worldwide team, who have provided us with great gaming and some great memories. So, that is more or less the history of the GTA games, from first to the future. Feel free to comment your thoughts on GTA 6, or what you thought of the trailer. I'm interested to see what you guys think of the game. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, consider liking, commenting, and subscribing for future contents.